And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another instalment of my ongoing series Till the Fable End, in which I look at the entirety of the DC Vertigo series Fables, one deluxe hardcover edition at a time. Today we're looking at a deluxe edition book 2. This is the cover. The artwork here is good, but not as strong as some of the other covers. Standard spine as we've seen before, Fables in these stylized circles. Zoom in, zoom out, there we are. And then creators' names and a number 2 on the side, and then usual blurb at the back with the rest of the image continuing. Let's have a look at the inside flaps. We've got usual kind of poll quotes from a variety of news outlets saying how amazing it is, and then here we have again Bill Willingham and some details there. End pages are just purple for some reason. Let's take the dust jacket off, and what we have here is a stylized dust jacket cover, just printed, glossy. It's the same single image which is on the dust jacket itself, so there we have it. And again, this is the image I'm using for the thumbnail as well. It's okay, but some of the later images are much stronger. Okay, so that is the deluxe edition. Let's dive into it. So, what does this collect? Well, to start off with, it collects issues 11 to 18. You can find that written down here in the legal blurb, but let's have a look at them. It has an introduction by Bill Willingham, which we'll look at in a second. Then it has, there you are, that's 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 is Barleycorn Brides, and that's issues 11 to 18. Now, The Last Castle was a one-shot prestige format comic that was released separately, but you can buy that separately. And A Wolf in the Fold is a prose story, so it's just text. Now, this is the deluxe edition. If you buy this in the trade paperbacks, then it's not collected in quite this way. So, for example, A Wolf in the Fold is not collected in the trade paperbacks, and I think this is the slightly different sequence. The Last Castle might be somewhere else. My point is what I'll be talking about in these videos is just the deluxe editions. If you're interested in what's in the trade paperbacks, then I strongly recommend that you either check them out directly or you check out the Wikipedia page. It's a really interesting and really detailed breakdown of all the trade paperbacks and their contents. So what we have here is an intro by Bill Willingham. To be honest, this intro is much better than the first one in the first volume. Lovely bit of artwork there. And then we dive straight into this story, Bag of Bones. Now, Bag of Bones is, as we'll start to find, it's just a one-shot story about one of the Fable characters. And we'll find increasingly that a lot of the issues of Fables are just that. They're just one-shot stories exploring a particular Fable character. So this one is all about Jack of Fables. A little bit X-rated, obviously, and that's that issue there, standalone, one and done. As with so many of these one and done issues, though, they will come up again later, might be in 10, 20, 30 issues time, where actually this little bit of backstory is going to end up being relevant. Similarly here, then we go into the next issue of Fables. Now this one is a two-parter. It's called A Sharp Operation, and it's probably worth pointing out that the first few arcs and story arcs of Fables are kind of genre stories. So the very first one in the first deluxe edition was like a boardroom crime story, a little bit like Hercule Poirot or Agatha Christie, that sort of thing. And then the second one was more of a conspiracy story arc. That was the second story arc in the first deluxe. And this story arc here is very much a caper. So it's a little bit like a heist or a caper movie, a little bit like, believe it or not from this image, but a little bit like Ocean's 11 or something like that. So that's what this story is. Anyway, it's pretty good. Great cover here. And then we go back into kind of more mainstream Fables continuity, so back in Fabletown, various stories, bits and pieces. Again, strong story. You're probably getting an idea of the artwork here. As I said, it's consistently this kind of fairy tale artwork. It's not stylized in the same way that a lot of superhero comics are. Got another issue here. I believe this is Storybook Love. Yeah, this is Storybook Love Part 2. It's a good story. In retrospect, some of these stories probably don't stand up to the lens of modern scrutiny in 2023, keeping in mind these came out originally in 2002 onwards. And I'm conscious that there's some politics around Bill Willingham, the writer, and his personal politics and the perception of him. I might tackle that in a later video, but for now, all I'm going to say is I don't get involved in that sort of thing. I thought this was enjoyable. I thought it was an interesting comic. I think I enjoyed it first time I read it, and I've enjoyed it second time round as well. And this is Storybook Love Part 4. So lots of action, lots of stuff going on. Very cool, very stylized framing in the comics themselves. Okay, and that takes us to this issue, which is called Barleycorn Brides. Again, this is kind of a one and done, one shot issue, just exploring a very particular part of Fables mythology. But again, I've no doubt this will come into play later on. So a lot of this is just about the wider contextual world building. And that is that issue. That's the end of issue 18. So this was issues 11 to 18. There we have it. We then have The Last Castle, which is a really interesting story about this character, Boy Blue, who I know nothing about from a Fables or a mythological perspective. The story itself is, again, drawn in this way. It's good, it's interesting, it's well written. Fair sense of sort of pathos to it. And yeah, kind of a horrifying insight into what things were like in the homelands and under the adversary and so on. But yeah, enjoyable story. I enjoyed it, I liked it, and I'm glad that it's collected in this collection. Yeah, it's just a good story, good artwork, good writing. Nice. That then takes us to this, A Wolf in the Fold. Now this is, as far as I'm aware, specific and unique to the deluxe edition. It is a prose story about the big bad wolf. And as you can see here, it's got some images as just kind of like accoutrement to the side, but ultimately what we have here is a prose story, and quite a good one. I started reading it and I was just like, oh man, it's a lot of reading. It's a lot of reading going on here. But actually, it just whizzed right past. It was really enjoyable. I liked it. Yeah. And there we have it. Treasures from the Woodland Vaults. This is how the deluxe edition ends. As one might imagine, these are just the usual gallery edition sort of extras, so not very much there. And then we've got just one page of biographies, so there's some more artwork, one page of biographies of the people behind the comic. There we have it. Okay, so deluxe edition volume 2. Am I enjoying it? Yeah. I vaguely remember some of this from my first read through, but that was about 10 years ago, so it's nice to be coming back to it. Really enjoyable. Yeah, good writing. Love the format, love the build. The construction on these deluxe editions is fantastic. Yeah, so there we are. Fables Deluxe Edition, Book 2. So the homework for next week is, of course, unsurprisingly, Book 3. See everyone then. Alright, thanks for watching everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at @IamThomasJudge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.